All right, this is Mr. Sexton, and we're ready to start looking at the foundations of group and team communication. Let's get started on this by looking at groups, what they are, and how they work. Like it or not, you'll work in groups throughout your life, whether it's in your business or your personal life. It might be something social, it might be your community, but you're going to be working in groups the rest of your life. If you notice here, it only takes 3 people working together to become a group. When you have 3 or more people working together, the dynamics are quite different from just you and another person. So to work well in groups, you have to understand the basics of the dynamics of the groups. We're going to look at that. In this class, we're going to work as teams to develop a project. I think you've already seen what the project is when you looked at the video regarding the discussion unit, but we're going to develop something as a team. I've taught this course many, many times, and during this time I hear students saying, I just don't like working in groups. Well, as I've said before, there's nothing you can do about that. You're going to be working in groups no matter what. Now, there are really 2 reasons that people don't like working in groups. One is time, and time pressures getting together with people, and the other is the pressures of working with other groups. Everything you say isn't always the thing that's accepted. You have to discover how to work in groups and how to have power and release power within a group. We're going to be looking at that throughout this chapter. I know many of us think we're very strong and we can do it all. However, as fantastic as we might think we are, the strengths of a group usually far outweigh the strength of an individual. The difficulty of working with a group outweighs the disadvantages by far. You notice the strengths of a group would be you have greater resources and greater strength through the synergy that you have, and more creativity. Obviously, we're looking at more people, more input, and of course, because there are other people depending on each other, you end up with greater commitment. We're going to be looking at 3 things here that I really want you to pay careful attention to. The first is cohesion. Groups can have too little cohesion, not work well together, and they can have too much cohesion. The second type of cohesion would be called groupthink. That can be a very difficult thing and something that can ruin the projects. The size of the group also has an effect upon the outcome, because we can get into groups that are simply too large to work with. We're in this class working with groups 4 to 6 people, and that certainly is a workable size. But when you get to groups of 20 and 30, it becomes very difficult to work. The third thing you need to realize is that there's a power structure always going on in groups. You've got the power over, the power to, and then the social climbing that can occur during the group. All of these affect the effectiveness of the group. Let's take a quick look at power in groups. See how people attain power and what power means and how you might be able to attain power, or at least recognize why somebody else has the power. As you can see here, there are 5 bases of power in groups. We want to look at what power really is. Well, we've got these 5 different types. One is reward power. Then we've got coercive power, legitimate power, expert power, and 5th, referent power. Now let's look at those individually. Certain people in a group can be in situations where they can reward power. These people can give things to other people. Usually people like this are the owners of a business or the managers of businesses. I recommend, if you can, in a business situation, if you can, don't let those people into the group, because people will try to social climb, to try to get their power from those people. But things that they can do to give power is to give them attention or approval, to give them public praise, promotions, and raises. So you can see how closely tied this is to management a discussion situation. So be very aware of that. And if you have an opportunity to keep management out of discussions, I strongly suggest you do that without losing your job. Now you notice coercive power. Again, this would be from a management point of view. Sometimes in other types of groups you can have coercive power. You might be in a situation where you're at a meeting in a church and somebody has a position where they could maneuver you. I'm not trying to denigrate churches by any means, but different organizations. You can be in a situation where somebody could demote you to a different spot, get you off the committee or fire you, or give you assignments that aren't very desirable, send you to weird places in the world or whatever, give you undesirable assignments. So coercive power is something to be very aware of, and again, that comes from somebody who has the ability to do these things. Well, as I've said before, management quite often gets involved in discussions, and here legitimate power would be just that. People who have the power because they are the manager, because they are the supervisor, because they are the CEO. They have legitimate power. Are they the best people to have in a discussion or a project or something creative? Not necessarily, because quite often people want that power from them. So be very aware of where your power is in your group and how that power is affecting what the group does. Expert power is very interesting. I find this very, very interesting in the classroom groups, actually. You might be in a situation where you have a student or a partner in your group who is very, very quiet throughout the entire project. They really don't have much to offer. And then you discover that they are the ones who have the computer skills needed to complete the project. Suddenly that person has a lot of power. They know something the rest of the group doesn't. Now that can happen in all kinds of organizations, not just in these classroom situations, but you might be in a business where somebody has done something before. They understand a process, and so they become an expert, and when they're needed within the group, they do create expert power. It's interesting to see what happens with other people in the group and see if they try to social climb with that person who suddenly has risen to a position of power. Keep an eye on that. Now, referent power is something that you'll see in your groups, especially in these student groups. There's going to be somebody who probably the rest of the group will look toward. That person has some sort of charisma or something that draws the rest of the people to them. There can be many reasons for that. It could be that the group sees that person as intelligent. It could be, and watch this because it can be dangerous. That person might simply be an attractive person, and other people in the group might be attracted to them, not because of their expertise or anything, just that they are a person who attracts other people. Be aware when you're dealing with group situations that you don't easily give off power that way. Watch why you're allowing that person to have the power. Is it because they're a good leader, they have good reasons to lead, they understand the process, or is it because you want a social climb? Keep an eye on that.